Everybody, happy Monday. Thanks for being here. Today I want to discuss the thing on delayed gratification that I spoke with Ganja last week. I found the study. It was at the website Psychology Today, and the article was written by Alex Lickerman, MD, The Power of Delaying Gratification, How to Develop Impulse Control. And why did I bring this up? Well, I think it's something that day traders and short-term traders would look at if they wanted to make more money. Delay the gratification of taking the winner today for taking a bigger winner tomorrow. Anyway, the study that I had spoken with Brandon about was done by Walter Mischel in 1970. And I'm going to read the article again. It's not mine. It's from Alex Lickerman, MD, at Psychology Today. The article was posted on July 29, 2012. 1970 psychologist Walter Mischel famously placed a cookie in front of a group of children, gave them a choice. They could eat the cookie immediately, or they could wait until he returned from a brief errand and then be rewarded with a second. If they didn't wait, however, they'd be allowed to eat only the first one. Not surprisingly, once he left the room, many children ate the cookie almost immediately. A few, though, resisted eating the first cookie long enough to receive the second. He termed these children high-delay children. Now, interestingly enough, I guess they did some type of longitudinal study. And so the next paragraph reads, interestingly, the children who were best able to delay gratification subsequently did better in school and had fewer behavioral problems than the children who could only resist eating the cookie for a few minutes, and further ended up on average with SAT, Scholastic Aptitude Test scores that were 210 points higher. As adults, the high-delayed children completed college at higher rates than the other children and then went on to earn higher incomes. In contrast, the children who had the most trouble delaying gratification had higher rates of incarceration as adults and were more likely to struggle with drug and alcohol addiction. So what does that mean for you? You're going to jail. I don't know what it means. The answer may lie in the strategies the high-delayed children used. Rather than resist the urge to eat the cookie, these children distracted themselves from the urge itself. They played with toys in the room, sang songs to themselves, and looked everywhere but at the cookie. In short, they did everything they could to put the cookie out of their minds. So it's uncanny that, when I've spoken about this, I've said, and you can go back because it's on tape as testimony, turn the screen off, put your stops in and walk away. Go look at the study that we did on the SPY where you made 42 times more money. Not 42%, not 42 points, 42 times more money. And so if you are, I don't want to say addicted to the feeling of taking short-term gains, you have to look at what you're doing this for. Are you doing it to make money, or are you doing it for the video game part of it, right? Because I would liken that short-term stuff to video. I would much rather lose. If there's 25 trading days, I'm sitting here, I'm looking you all in the eye. I'd rather lose 20 days out of 25 and still make 10, 20% a month on those remaining days because my winners would outsize my losers by 5 or 10 to 1. It does you have to condition yourself to get into that emotional constitution to have that. But just realize that when you're taking short-term gains, you are your worst enemy. And in my mind's eye, if you're in the game of risk management, that's not a place where you want to be. You'll have to figure that for yourself. I'm not judging you. I'm just thinking that the opportunity cost, because you can't see it, to you it doesn't exist. But if you're talking with someone who's been around for quite some time, we're very, very aware of opportunity cost. It's everywhere. Opportunity, every time you make a choice, you're forsaking making another choice. And until you see the statistics, you're really guessing. You really don't know what you're talking about. So again, what can you do? Well, the first thing you do is go to a simulator if you have one. I know that there's, we've talked about them ad infinitum, so I don't want to, waste the time here. And the shorter term ones admittedly are limited in that you can only see 2 years of data. So that doesn't really help you all that much. We also know that most of the data feeds have removed the many names from their lists of the list of available securities. So, for example, if you're a retail trader and you go to your Market Minder, or even if you go to Bar Chart or Yahoo Finance, places that are for free, you can type in a ticker and it'll call it up. But if you go and type in BSC or LEH or BKB, right? Those names won't come up. Why? Well, because they either went out of business or they merged with other companies, so the data's not there. And when you get data, right, we talked about survivors. So what you can see on the screen are actually, and statistically speaking, they're called survivors. BKB is Bank Boston. It was a great company. I owned lots of shares of it when I was at the retail outfit before I went out and started my own company. So it wasn't a bad investment, but it merged with Fleet Bank, so you can't find the data. ENE was Enron, and there were times when you could be long and short and make money with Enron. BSC was Bear Stearns Corporation. LEH was Lehman. So you could have made money long or short with any of those names, but if they don't exist for you to test, the data that you have as a result of your back testing is skewed. Now, what most people do with back testing is a mistake is to pick the 9 names, the Tesla, NVIDIA, Palo Alto Networks, right? Any of the names that are working, Apple, Amazon, whatever, Netflix, Google, Apple, the names that are worked, Roku had a big move recently. They'll go and they'll test the darlings of the day. And that's lazy, right? So you have to test everything. You have to test the names that you don't know. You have to test names that you might be afraid of. And see how they would work with your model. That would give you what we would say is robust results. And you want those results to be very, very robust. You don't want to hand pick stuff or cherry pick ideas. So think about where in your life can you exercise discipline and have delayed gratification? Where else do you do that? And what does it cost you? For example, if you have no impulse control, because it could be quite a bit financially. You see? And so this is one of the things that we kind of harp on here, because if you don't look at it, what do you know? You don't know anything. And it's just rumor and conjecture or opinions. And opinions are like assholes, right? No one cares. So you want to know the data and don't live. Remember the scene from Departed where Martin Sheen and Mark Wahlberg are in the office with Leonardo? And he says, what we deal with here is deception, but we don't deal with self-deception. One of the biggest flaws and character defects that I see in people in general, never mind traders, is that they're self-deceiving. They talk a good game because they listen to Joe Rogan and Jocko and what's the other guy? Goggins. And they become sloganeers of sayings and beliefs that they have no intention to actually following through on. But by saying them, they get like, dude, you're such a stud. You don't want to be in that spot. You don't want to be a paper rose, right? You want to be a badass. And being a badass means you have to execute. You actually have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And what you'll learn about yourself in those moments in time will help you grow as a human being. How do I know? Well, I go to jiu-jitsu every day and I get my ass kicked by guys who are, better, older, younger, the whole deal. That's the way it works. If I want to be a wuss, I can quit and then complain about the system and how things are unfair. But you'll never grow as a person. I'll never grow as a person. And so that's the whole point of it, is you don't know how far life can take you if you don't apply yourself. If you play it safe and take, your 3-to-1 on the E-mini, I feel like if you're willing to do the work, why don't you love yourself enough to get paid the most that you can? You have to answer that question. And if you don't know, you say, well, there's no surety. Well, there's no surety in what you're doing either. In the short run, you don't know if you're lucky or just have good timing. Now, I'll take it. I'll take good timing. I have good timing for the market. I'm good at it. I'm also good at knowing when the getting's good and knowing when to sidestep that big, that blow off. What was it? It was, I think it was last Wednesday. There was a big sell off. Some of the names were off big. I have an uncanny ability to miss those days because I have a sense when markets are acting very toppy. So can you, though. if you study something enough, you can develop that ability too. It's not like it's something that's just unique to one person, right? So I think if you're not happy with your performance, you shouldn't worry about sizing up. What you should think about is, how do you hold your winners longer? You're already in the winning trade. Just hold on to it. Distract yourself. Turn the monitor off. Put your protective stop in. It will work. The thing stops work. The people who are holding your orders have an incentive to execute them for you, because that's how they get paid. So don't worry about stupid shit like wicks and front running and all that stuff. That's boogeyman stuff. No one can ever prove it anyway, right? You hear people writing it matter-of-factly as if they have inside information on how these places work, and they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They're just hearing stuff from other places and parroting it. So don't believe the garbage unless they can prove it. And if it was it's certainly unethical, but, market makers get paid to hold inventory. So they have to be able to make money some way in order for the system to work. You want them to survive. You want them to make money. Otherwise, you just have an agency type of business. And I've traded in markets that were agency only, which meant only buyers and sellers. There was no one there to stabilize the market. You see, there was no specialist system. So think about it. Don't worry about sizing up. You might have an appropriate size in your portfolio right now for what you're doing. Consider taking a trade home. And if you're risking 5 points to make 15 and you're up 20, put in your stop at plus 15 and keep it. Let it ride. Keep it overnight. Back test that. See how it feels. I already hinted upon the data that shows that there's big money to be made over the night, over the weekend. So that's how you can learn how to perform better. You don't have to worry about sizing up intraday. That might actually even be riskier in a weird way, to trade bigger during the day than to stick with what you're doing and just hold it overnight, hold it over the weekend. Anyway, that's my thought and prayer for you today. I hope you're all doing well. Please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, please leave them in YouTube. You could write me directly. Don't forget, we're putting together a group, and you can still get involved. We're going to start it next week or so. Thanks very much for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, everybody, thanks for being here. Please take a minute, like and subscribe to the show. You could also leave a comment. I don't have all the answers, so it's good to get some feedback. Also, if you would like to support the show, check out the links below. You can get the free audiobook of The Inner Voice of Trading, and also information about the course that I teach with Victor Sperandio. Thanks for being here, folks. I'll see you tomorrow.